9.4 Volume of Prisms. In the standard here, you can see that we're going to be taking today and talking about volume, where we also have using formulas to find the volume of real-world problems or volume of mathematical problems. Attacking that, this is our formula we're going to be using for today. V equals capital BH, and yes, it does need to be a capital B because the big B stands for base. It's all about the base. So that's why it is a capital B. Please note, it is the area of the base. So we're going to have to find that, show that work. And then it is a little h because, again, it still stands for the height. This is the formula we use for any type of prism. So remember, we've got two types of prisms we've talked about here with our rectangular one, because it's a rectangular base, a rectangle base, and this one here being a triangular prism, because the main shape all the way through it is a triangle, the shape that's been kind of pushed from the top down to the bottom. The general shape of the whole thing is a triangle. Any of these type of prisms, we're going to use that formula, and every time we're going to write down V equals big B, little h. Find the volume of the prism. So we start right away with that formula. V equals big B, little h. Starting with that big B, the area of the base, the general shape that's been pushed all the way through this, the shape as a prism that is in both the front and the back, or on opposite ends, is a triangle. Because of that, we are going to come down here and find the area of a triangle, showing that work. Do remember that that is 1/2 BH, or sometimes how you guys have seen that would be the BH over 2. I'll accept either of those formulas. When we're talking BH over 2, we're looking here the base of the triangle, which is 4, times the height of it, which in this instance is how tall it is here. Remember, that little right angle is our friend down there. It tells us both numbers that we're going to use. And then don't forget to make sure that you use and have that 2 still included in there. So you grab your handy dandy calculator, you type that on in, you get the number 12, great. And then from there, we find the height of the prism. That's what this h is. What's the distance between the two bases, between the two same shapes? Which is 5. Mental math or calculator both approved, and you're able to get the answer of 60. Please note, with volume, we need a label, and the label is always going to be cubed because we're talking about the amount of space inside a three-dimensional figure, in a 3D figure. Here we go again with another prism, finding the volume. We go V equals big B, little h. To find the big B, we're talking about the area of the base, the general shape pushed all the way through it, a squarish rectangle. So we're going to find that area equals length times width. So the length, 4 times the width, 4 times 4 gives us 16. And then you just take it times the height, the distance from that square to the front and the back. 16 times 4 gives you 64 feet cubed. Please remember, when we're talking about these, you need to show me that formula. You need to show me the other formula for finding the area of the base and its work. Then show me the work up here, get an answer and a label on all of these problems. Please note, when finding the volume gives us a couple of options, but we're going to use that formula. You could look at that, and some of you said, Mr. Walls, can't we just take length times width? Length times width times height. Can't we just take 4 times 4 times 4? You are absolutely right. 4 times 4 times 4 gives you that 64, and that does work. But that only works on boxes or rectangular prisms. Over here with the triangular prism, if you took 6 times 4 times 5, that gives us 120, and that is not right. So that does not work here. That's why we like that formula, V equals big BH, because it's going to work no matter what shape we are using. If you prefer the length times width times height, I will accept that on finding the volume of a rectangular prism. You still need to show me the work, the labels, the answers, the formula, and the work that you typed on in. Find the volume. So again, I'm going to stick with that V equals big BH. Where we're talking about the area of that base, the general shape. Could be this front part here because there's a rectangle in front and in back, which makes it a prism. Or it could be this rectangle here on the bottom because there's one exactly like it on the top. Many options to choose from, so you just take whichever one you like. I will take this bottom one as the base. So that since that is a rectangle, formula, length times width. Yes, I do want to see that. 9 times 4, that work. Yep, do want to see that. Calculator, mental math, both work. Gives you 36. And then the height is the distance between the two rectangles, the two bases. 36 times 6, grab a calculator, type that on in. 216 yards squared. That's all the work we need to see every time. You don't need to draw out the figure or the shape. Again, go ahead and when you're looking at this, you can put a slash or a check by that volume. We're going through volume there on the left. That's vocab we're talking about. So far, we've used volume to solve mathematical problems, and we're going to get to this real-world problem down here with volume in a further example. If they don't give you the shape, you can just go with it, or you could draw it out. So when we're talking about it, since it is a rectangular prism, we've got our V equals big BH, where we're just going to say the base. Well, you can pick any of the numbers. Since it says it's a length of 2 and a width of 6, that's what I'm going to use, because it's length times width. 2 times 6 gives me 12. Plug that on in, and then a height of 3, multiply it on out, and I get 36 meters cubed. If you'd prefer, you could draw it out. Go ahead and draw out a rectangular prism. Rectangle here. 3 lines going about the same direction, about the same length. And you've got yourself a rectangular prism. If you'd like to put the dotted lines in, you could to help you see the 3D about it, but you don't have to. And then we've got a length of 2, a width of 6, and a height of 3. May not be drawn to scale, may not be drawn perfect, but the numbers are there. So then you could look at it and say, aha, here's my base. And then do the work there where you took the 6 times 2, the work we saw over here. And then the height, or again, since it is a box, it's a rectangular one, if you so chose, you could show me length times width times height and the work there as well. Those all work. Here we have 2 rectangular prisms. Each have the same volume. That's very important. Now, we're going to do this with rectangular prism A, which tells us has a base of 2 by 4. So it's got a rectangle that's 2 by 4. And then rectangular base B, which has a base of 4 by 6. Now, I don't have a lot of room on this one. You can probably fit it in on your page or show it in some other boxes. So I'm going to start a whole new one here. Now, when we talk about this, we've got our formula that we've always had. V equals big B H. Now, we're going to talk about A first. Remember, A, rectangular prism with length and width of 2 by 4. So I'm going to figure out my area then. Length times width, which was 2 times 4. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to plug that in. 2 times 4 gives me 8. That's going to go in as my base. And then it said the volume on this previous page was 120. So that's where this 120 is coming into play. And from there, I'm just going to leave that H as H because I don't know what that is. And we'll solve for H. To get rid of that 8, divide both sides by 8, which gives us the answer 15 equals H. Put a label with that guy. Same label as on the previous page, centimeters. Prism A has a height of 15 centimeters. Doing it again for the other prism. Same formula, V equals capital B, H. Now in that one, it told us that the prism had a base of 4 by 6. Well, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to find my area of the base. Length times width, 4 times 6, gives me that 24. So I plug that in for the area of the base, the big B, because it's all about the base, It's no trouble. Here again, both of them had 120 as your volume. So plugging that on in, because they told us the volume was 120. Don't know the H, so leave it. Solving for H, we'll divide both sides by 24, which gives us the answer 5 equals H, or you could write 5 centimeters. You have now taken the volume and solved for the height and worked it backwards. The second question on that page I have over here, which prism has the lesser surface area? Oh boy. So surface area formula for a prism was 2 big B plus pH. It's a big formula, but we've done a lot of the work already because we've got 2 times the area of the base, which we already did the work over here. So you don't have to show me the work again because it's a 2-part question. Just plug it on in for the area of the base. That's where that 8's coming from. Plus, now the perimeter, since we used 2 and 4, that's where I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to be putting in the perimeter. Length plus width plus length plus width. 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4. That's where this 12 is coming from. And then the height. The height of prism A, well, we just figured that out on the previous page. So I'm going to go over there. You guys probably have it in front of you. I need to switch the page. I'm going to take that 15. I'm going to plug it in for the H that we just dealt with. So we put it in, 15. Now in one fatal swoop, type this whole equation into your calculator. Let it do the work, and PEMDAS for you. And when you've done that, it comes out to be 196 centimeters surface area. Area is squared. And then to find the surface area, which one's got the smaller or lesser, I got to do the surface area of my other shape, of the other prism. Same formula, 2 big B plus pH. The 2 stays the same. Then we find the area of the base, which we already did. I need to jump back a page so I can find it over here, the 24. And I'm going to plug that again in for the big B on this page, 24, plus the perimeter. The perimeter, again, because it's a rectangular prism, is length plus width, or whichever formula you want to use, the 2L plus 2W. Show me the formula, then show me the work. We used 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4, which gives you the 24. Excuse me. Which gives you the 20 for the perimeter. And then that height we already found on that other page. That other page we found our height to be 5. So we're going to plug that in on this one for 5. And then you type that into your calculator in one fatal swoop or just all at once. So looking at those, you can now answer the question, which one has the lesser surface area? Which one's smaller on the surface area? Prism B. Again, looking at real-world volume and surface area right there, 2 in 1. You've used the formulas for finding volume. We found volume here, and you saw some of our other things come in there, surface area. And we're doing that for our standard 7G6. Today, I can find volumes of prisms, and I can solve real-life problems.